Well, I'm off in the hills again, looking for Indian villages, Miwok this time, and in the distance you can see my boat down in that little inlet, and further on in the background there is the Merced River, and I've just climbed up this stream. Of course there's not much of a stream now, no water anyhow, but there's quite a good waterfall, or what would have been a waterfall if the stream were flowing. And I'm up on a relatively flat area where there are some rocks that had the potential for having bedrock mortars. So I'm doing some investigating here, and sure enough I did find one bedrock mortar already. I'm going to pan down. Now you can't see this very well, even though I've cleaned it out a little bit already, but prior to my cleaning it out, it was really hard to find. So in many of these investigations it's difficult to find evidence because it's been covered up by leaves, dirt, all kinds of foliage, and so even though you don't find anything, that doesn't mean nothing's there. It could just be obscured. I'll clean this out a little bit more, and I think you'll be able to see clearly that it's a bedrock mortar. Alright, I've cleaned this out some more, and I think you can better see that this is in fact a bedrock mortar. The insides of this are nice and smooth, nice and circular. So let's take a look at some other areas here that might have a bedrock mortar, but which are currently concealed. Like right there, that doesn't look like much right now, but let me do a little cleaning and see what happens. Okay, I've cleaned out that area that we were looking at just a minute ago, the one that had the grass growing in it. It was all filled in with dirt, and there was just a very, very slight depression there that gave me a clue that there might be a bedrock mortar. And sure enough, after cleaning out the dirt, there it is, very clear. And this rock that I'm sitting on could have quite a few mortars, although they're all currently concealed except for the two that I have dug up right now. But I'll look around a little bit more and try to get a count on how many there are here. Alright, this is the little valley that I saw originally on Google Earth. It's where two streams come together. This one over on the right is a very small stream, but it leads through a relatively flat area, and a little further down there's what I think is a spring, perhaps two springs, whereas the other creek, it's a larger creek, no doubt about it, but it goes up into a relatively narrow canyon, and so the likelihood that there was a village site up there, I think, is a little bit less than in this direction. So that's the direction I'm going to follow. See if I can find the spring. And you'll be able to see this rock here, and there's several bedrock mortars right here. There's two right in the center of the frame. There's another one, and I'm going to pan over to this rock that's right next to it. Just walk up just a little bit, and there you can see some excellent examples, two very nice examples of bedrock mortars. This is right at the junction of the two streams. I'm just shooting this from a different angle now, and you can see those four trees right in the middle of the frame there, and a nice flat area. It's right by the creek. This looks like it would have been an ideal spot for a village at one time. And those bedrock mortars that I found, just at the edge of the meadow are just behind where those trees are. I think this is a good example of finding a bedrock mortar when there was no visible evidence that there was one there at all. I cleaned this one out on just the chance that there might be a bedrock mortar in this location because of the surroundings, not because of any kind of visual information that I could see. There wasn't even a slight depression there. It was just covered with dirt. This rock was just completely covered by dirt, and I just moved the dirt off, and there was the bedrock mortar. And my clue that there might be one there was the fact that, well, here's a flat rock, it's near the creek, and so the location was perfect for there to be a bedrock mortar, even though there was no visible sign that there was one here.
At the other end of this flat meadow-like area, I ran across this stone structure, or what's left of a structure. It's just some rock walls that is near the river. And it must have been a cabin of some sort, either by an early miner or perhaps a homesteader in the area. And the interesting thing about it is that it's right on the edge of where this Miwok village was. So you have to sort of wonder what the time frame was on this, and whether or not there was some interaction between this early settler and perhaps the village. Now here are some big pieces of quartz, probably the result of some mining activity.
Where the spring intersects or meets the creek. Now just pan up the hill, and you can see how the earth is severely disturbed all the way up the hill until you see that green area. And I'm pretty sure that the reason why the earth is so chopped up right there is because when the water comes down, the cattle that graze on this land come in here and they've turned up all that dirt. Now this spring doesn't look like much, and it certainly isn't at this time of the year. We're in mid-July, and California's been suffering a drought, so it's much less than what it otherwise would be in a good year.